Welcome to your nerdy news roundup of Tuesday. Today we have a story of Australia bans social media for anybody under 16. Nintendo aims to take out some more pirates, and also Shuhei Yoshida retires from PlayStation after 30 years. Before we get into that, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get into it. There's no doubt that social media has had a big effect on us as a humanity as a whole and our world, and it's changed for the better and some things not for the better. But Australia thinks that it's not for the better for anyone that doesn't have a developed mind, and so with that said, Australia to ban under 16 from social media in world's first law. Reported by AP, the law designed to prevent children younger than 16 from holding accounts on the likes of TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat, Reddit, X/Twitter, and Instagram. Social media companies could be on the hook for fines of up to 50 million Australian dollars, 33 million in American dollars, if they fail to prevent under 16 from accessing their platforms. This is responsibility these companies should have been fulfilled long ago, but for too long they have shirked these responsibilities in favor of profit. Opposition's Senator Maria Kovac told the Senate. Naturally, we respect the laws dedicated by Australian Parliament, Facebook and Instagram owner Meta comment. However, we are concerned about the process which rushed the legislation through while failing to properly consider the evidence. What industry already does to ensure age-appropriate experiences and the voices of young people. In March, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a law that gave his state one of the U.S.'s most restrictive social media bans for minors once it takes effect January 1st. It will ban children younger from 14 from social media platforms that require 14 to 15-year-olds to get a parental consent. Look, there's a middle ground here, and I think YouTube is the only one that's doing the middle ground correctly, and that's have a whole different app for minors so that way they don't interact with content that's not made for minors and that is made for adults and primarily for adult watchers. And if this is the case that Australia's banning anybody that's under 16, all YouTube has to do is make it to where anybody in Australia 16 and under just can't use anything that has anything to do with the app and or just stream things that are meant for adults. So that is the middle ground that I see. I don't blame Australia for not having 14-year-olds from having a social media account, because it's like, what are you doing on TikTok in the first place or on social media in the first place? Like, it's kind of like you can watch and there's videos there that you can watch, but to be interacting with other people that are more than likely adults is kind of weird, and I get why they would want to ban that kind of thing. So like, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, it kind of, if I were in that same position and now we're that same age, I would think that this law is complete BS because it's kind of restricting my free speech. But like I said, there is a middle ground here. Let me know what you think in the comment section. What middle ground do you think there is? Or do you think Australia did the right thing? And yeah, let me know what you think. So I've been saying this for like the longest time, is that emulation is like to have ROMs on your Switch and to be able to modify it and to be able to jailbreak it is completely legal. But actually putting games that are late, like the latest thing that you can buy on the Nintendo Switch, like playing Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom or the new Mario games that came out, that isn't covered under the legality of the United States, which is completely illegal to do and is considered pirating. So if you do that, be sure that Nintendo is going to be on your ass, because they're in the right to do so. Nintendo aims the red shell at 200,000 member Switch Pirate subreddit. Nintendo has 200,000 member Switch Pirate subreddit within its crosshairs after telling the federal court it wants to subpoena the platform to identify members who worked with an alleged Switch pirate. Earlier this month, it was revealed that Nintendo tracked down an alleged Switch pirate using a combination of Reddit posts and their repair orders. As reported by GameFile, Nintendo sued James Archbox Williams from Surprise, Arizona for allegedly violating its digital copyrights by selling pirated copies of Switch games. The pirate shop Archbox was allegedly involved with Include Jack in the Shop, Turtle in the Shop, and Neko Drive, which all shut down following a cease and desist from Nintendo sent in March. Now, as GameFile reports, Nintendo has told federal court in Washington state that it believes other members of Switch Pirate subreddit had a role to play in the pirate shops. Nintendo wanted permission to subpoena business records from a number of platforms including Reddit, Discord, and Google to help identify Williams' alleged associates. The upshot of all this is in pursuit of infringement claims, Nintendo stressed. Nintendo has a reason to believe that other accounts active in Switch Pirates community may also have been controlled by defendant, or else reflect other individuals who have worked alongside defendant. Lawyers representing Nintendo said in this note to the court, Nintendo ended up with a default judgment in favor after Williams failed to plead his case to the court in time, but it's clear the company behind Mario will continue its war on pirates. As for users of the Switch Pirate subreddit, many remain defiant, but some fear for the future. It was a good run, soldiers. Goodbye, posted by Dark Keith. Time to put all those hours of watching Legal Eagle in action. Unused Switch posts on Switch Pirates now require moderator approval before becoming visible on the subreddit. Example of disallowing questions include, how do I hack my Switch? Which tinfoil shops work? And will I get banned if? Like I said, this is a story from IGN. Look, you are within your right to modify your Switch in any way you want to play ROM games, even older ROM games. But to make a Switch piratable and then also at the same time include games that are readily available that you can buy at the store is not the way to go, and is only giving Nintendo room for trying to get rid of the legal ROMs that you can use that are not readily available, that is legal in the United States. Because I guarantee you what Nintendo's trying to do right now is that it's trying to take out the fact that, yes, you can't modify any type of Nintendo hardware at all, even if you do own it, and also that you can't play ROM games that aren't readily available. All you're doing by pirating games and pirating them publicly and letting other people pirate games with money on top of that is illegal, and it will get you in trouble, and Nintendo is within their right to do so, to sue you. Now, if you want to do ROM games to play old games that aren't readily available and modify it and be online, and you can even pay people to do it, that is completely fine. But including games that are pirated, like I said, yeah, you're only ruining it for the rest of us, and you guys suck. I swear, pirates like this are the reason why you make everything else harder for everybody else. Just saying. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and let me know what you think of what Nintendo's doing with taking down all this content. Let me know in the comments below. Though a couple days ago it was the PlayStation 30th anniversary, and naturally Bloodborne fans made it about themselves because they can't help themselves. And to be honest with you, I'm right there with you, Bloodborne fans. Like, I've been wanting an HD like update of Bloodborne for like the longest time, like a remake at the very least, like 60 frames per second. Like, is that too much to ask? A 4K patch with 4K textures, like that's not asking a lot. Like, I get you. But of course, on the 30th anniversary, they released a PlayStation like celebration, saying thank you to the fans, and at the very end, they showed a Bloodborne screen. Everybody's like, they know, and I'm like, okay, all right, cool. Bloodborne fans freak out again as PlayStation anniversary trailer ends on Bloodborne and the phrase, "It's all about persistence." Bloodborne fans are once again freaking out over the potential incoming announcement as Sony ended its special PlayStation 30 anniversary trailer with a clip from the beloved FromSoft game and the phrase, "It's all about persistence." The trailer below flashes through myriad of clips from PlayStation history and ties many games to certain captions. Helldivers as the phrase, "It's about freedom." For example, Final Fantasy VII as the phrase, "It's about fantasy." And Bloodborne, as mentioned, has the phrase, "It's about persistence." The gothic horror role-playing game also ends the special 2-minute long trailer, which some fans think adds further weight to the significance of this involvement. Look, I get that the fact, like, Bloodborne isn't even super popular. I think it only sold like maybe like 8 million copies, 10 million copies, maybe for between 8 to 14 million copies, which isn't incredibly popular, and I think it's even lower than that. I might be wrong, but for them to end this trailer, it's all about persistence, knowing how persistent fans have been for wanting a Bloodborne update patch or a complete remake of the game, Or on top of that, just a Bloodborne 2, for God's sakes. Like, the game had so much lore that you could make a part 2, and rightfully so. And it's not only that, but with rumors that PlayStation is about to buy Kadokawa, which owns FromSoft, and maybe they can get FromSoft to make that Bloodborne game sequel or that Bloodborne update, like remake, which would be really cool. But like, this isn't a coincidence in my opinion, and the fact that Bloodborne fans are going crazy, I think in my opinion is justified. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a patch incoming, or if we get an announcement of a Bloodborne remake in the near future. Don't be surprised if Kadokawa is involved somehow. FromSoft is owned by them, so don't be surprised if PlayStation buys them. They immediately make an announcement and say, oh yeah, you remember that patch that you've been wanting? Well, here you go. And yeah, so don't be surprised if any of that happens, because PlayStation knows what it's doing. I've been following PlayStation since I was a kid, and PlayStation likes doing things like this. They've done things like this before to give little hints here and there of what they're gonna do in the future, especially with an IP that fans have a like big cult following. Like, it has a loud voice in the community and people love this game, and rightfully so. Bloodborne is probably one of the best Souls-like games that I've ever played. It's fun, it has a great story, it's creepy, it has like very great Lovecraftian themes in it, and also just straight up Lovecraftian in it. And yeah, so like I'm looking forward to what this is. I wouldn't be surprised that if there's going to be a PlayStation showcase in the near future, so keep an eye out on that. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think this means something? Do you think this doesn't mean something? Let me know below. And speaking of Souls-like games, people have been asking, is there going to be an Elden Ring 2? Because the first Elden Ring is probably one of the biggest games of the year that came out. And also, like, it's just, like, of that year, it was just the game, you know what I mean? It was the game. So it's only natural that people are going to be asking, is there an Elden Ring 2 coming? And Miyazaki came out and tried to confront what was going to happen with the Elden Ring IP. Elden Ring 2 not being considered at FromSoft. Hideki Miyazaki says. Elden Ring director from FromSoft, Miyazaki, has said that the developer is not currently considering making Elden Ring 2, but it won't shut down the possibility in the future. Miyazaki said at the PlayStation Partner Awards in 2024 Japan Asia, attended by IGN Japan and translated by Automation, that From Software has several projects in the works, but none are continuations of Elden Ring, its most successful game to date. We're not really considering developers such as an Elden Ring 2, Miyazaki said, though made clear FromSoft is opening to returning to Elden Ring franchise in some form in the future. The projects in development are work in progress at the moment, but diverse in genre, with some directed by Miyazaki himself, he said. So like, you're telling me there's a chance, is what I get from this. Like, I don't think we'll ever get a Elden Ring 2. Miyazaki is not really the type to do sequels, and the only time he ever did a sequel is when they tried to do Elden Ring without him, and or not Elden Ring, but Dark Souls without him, and the second one really has mixed reviews. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people think it's the best one, some think it's like the worst Souls game out of all of them. But he came back to Dark Souls 3 because he wanted to prove, like, hey, let's end this on the good note and not with another like not good game like from a Souls like genre. So like the only time he's ever done a sequel is like that, and like he doesn't really like doing them, and I don't blame him. Like there's only so much time for you to like explore in the gaming industry, because games take like 4 years to make, and that's some of the shorter end games. So for him to be like stuck on one project for 8 years is kind of not fair. Like, I get where he's coming from. If you want somebody else to do it, just get some other young blood to do that game. And yeah, like I get where he's coming from. But at the same time, it's like, you're telling me there's a chance, right? Like, that's literally what he's saying, that maybe we won't get an Elden Ring 2, but maybe we'll get some kind of spiritual successor, or like the way they did with Dark Souls with Demon Souls, they'll kind of hint at the fact that they're connected, or some sort of DLC in the future. Who knows? But I hope that Elden Ring continues in some way or form, because it's the biggest game of the year. It got Game of the Year, and yeah, So let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think they'll ever go back to Elden Ring, or do you think this is it for it? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I've been covering PlayStation for the longest time, and this next story is a little sad for me, and it's a little bittersweet for anybody who's been with PlayStation since the very beginning and covering all the people who have come and gone on PlayStation. But this one by far has to be one of the nicest people that I've ever had to deal with in covering video games. I've never talked to him personally, but I hear he's one of the nicest guys, and on Twitter he's very nice and sweet, and he tries his best to help anybody who is making a video game for the first time. And it's with sadness that I say PlayStation veteran Shuhei Yoshida retiring from PlayStation in January. Shuhei Yoshida, one of the key veterans behind PlayStation brand, has announced his retirement from Sony after moving. Shuhei Yoshida, one of the key veterans behind PlayStation brand, has announced he is retiring from Sony after more than 3 decades with the company. Yoshida announced the news in PlayStation blog/posts on Tuesday. His exit will be effective on January 15th, 2025. I've been with PlayStation from the very beginning, and this is my 31st year with PlayStation, Yoshida said. And when I hit 30 years, I was thinking, it may be about time for me to move on. You know, the company has been doing great. I love PS5. I love the games that are coming out on this platform. And we have new generations of management who I respect and I admire. And I am excited for the future of PlayStation. Yoshida is currently Sony's interactive entertainment head of Indies initiative. Although he's held various posts at the company throughout the years, most notably he was president of SIE Worldwide Studios for Sony Interactive from 2008 to 2019. But Yoshida himself notes his roots with PlayStation run deep. He was one of the initial members of Kin Kudadari, often referred to as the father of PlayStation, team in 1993. And as he says in the podcast, was the first non-technical person to join the team as the company. Sony Corporation at the time started to plan to bring PlayStation to market. Elaborating further, he explained that his job as a lead in account management was to talk to publishers and developers in Japan in hopes that they would make games on the PlayStation. So that was a really fun time, but also really challenging time because not many people in the industry believed in 3D graphics technology at the time, he went on. Yoshida would go on to become the vice president at Sony Computer Entertainment America in April 2000, being named senior vice president as SCE World Studios USA in 2007 before taking his presidential role in 2008. He calls his most recent job, however, overseeing indies, a dream job. When I managed PlayStation Studios, working with big studios making AAA games was great, he explained. However, when I went to events like E3 or Gamescom, I always went to the indie game area. While Yoshida didn't specify what exactly he'll be doing next, he did say in a reply to a fan on X/Twitter that he'd like to stay in the industry. Yoshida exit is the only latest news that dropped amid its 30th anniversary earlier on Tuesday. Sony confirmed that PlayStation 2 sold 160 million units across its lifetime, which Shuhei Yoshida oversaw. This is the story by IGN, by the way. This is probably one of the most heartbreaking stories that I've ever had to cover, in the times that I've been making video game news. Shuhei Yoshida is probably one of those guys. If you love PlayStation, Shuhei Yoshida is the reason why you do like PlayStation. It was his strategy and his kind of vision of the company of why we have what we have today. If you love the indie games like Little Big Planet, or if you love games like God of War, or if you like any of the new reboots of God of War, Shuhei Yoshida had his fingerprints all over that. And while I know Shuhei Yoshida is a nice guy, this man is also a savage that got people to make great games. Developers always say that Shuhei Yoshida comes off as a nice guy, but he was shrewd into what vision he wanted and what fun was in video games. And the reason why PlayStation even succeeded with the first PlayStation X is because Shuhei Yoshida was there to be able to kind of move the PlayStation brand in the direction of fun and what people thought was the console that you needed to have. And I really hope Shuhei Yoshida continues in the industry. I have seen that he's not going to exit, that he's going to stay in the game industry and continue working with indies in some way or form. I really hope that there isn't some kind of underlying reason why he left, and more because he wanted to try new things with a different company. Um, there is some rumors here and there that the reason why Shuhei left was because of some disagreements within PlayStation, because PlayStation is going in a more AAA direction in its budget, and Shuhei Yoshida more than likely thought that we should trend more into, yes, making AAA games with AAA like budgets, but at the same time balance that with a sprinkle of indie developers that are there to make great games, because without indie developers we never get the AAA games that we want. So it's a perfect cycle. Now I hope that isn't true of the reason why he left, but if it is, I really have really big exclamation Metal Gear, like, what's that over there? Like, huh? Because of the fact that the people that are in charge right now, like Hormer Holst, are responsible of Concord. He is the reason why we had that big blunder, and also the reason why we have Bungie overseeing Gas, and why Gas is kind of like being cancelled left and right from PlayStation. So it does give me some Eye of Sauron and seeing what PlayStation is going to be doing with the next decisions that it's doing, because everybody that was involved with PlayStation is gone. They're all gone now. The majority of the people are gone. The only person that is there is Ken Kutagari, and no, not Ken Kutagari. The only person that's there is Crazy Ken, which is Ken Kutagari, the engineer that came up with the chip for the PS3, the PS2, and the PS1. And he is considered the father of PlayStation. He's there as an executive role, and yeah, so like everybody that's involved directly with PlayStation is gone now. And now we have the new generation of PlayStation, and I really do hope that it's a good thing for PlayStation, as covering them for the longest time and being such a big fan of their games and their consoles. I can only hope they do good. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think PlayStation is going into the right direction with its new leadership, or do you think that this means and spells doom for PlayStation? Let me know what you think below in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, you're pretty good.